Okay, so we have about what 10 minutes to talk about what was that like for you, what you encountered, what you stumbled at. Did you feel a receiving? Of course, it would be hard maybe for you to feel a receiving because you were giving at the same time. Usually we would take turns, but had to condense time to get started today. So just opening up the floor, and anyone who wants to start, we'll do popcorn style.
I go, if I may.
You may, of course.
So I was in the room with Emma. So because I already work, with connection and all that, immediately when I tuned in, I felt this strong alchemical, I wrote it down, alchemical miracles in relationship to yourself, and as a consequence to others, and then not just humans and animals. So that was kind of into the reality statement. And then I went down through the steps, and with step 1, I felt this like a dissolving feeling towards ancestral history, ties to ancestors. And then I deep sixed, and I wrote down anything in the ancestry energy line that is sabotaging this dissolution of the heritage. I mean, I don't know if that makes sense. And 4 was like the biofield was and then I hold my balancing pendulum, and it was just harmonizing balance. It's harmonizing the energy over it. And 5, the program for the highest expression of a freed ancestral heritage is downloaded in first dimension, anchored into the 5th and activated. And then I was guided to pull 3 cards for you from a color breathing, it's called. And it kind of came as for downloading the information. It was, I am flexible. And for anchoring the information, the vibration is, I am body, mind, and spirit. And last is the activation. I am full of energy.
Wow.
And that, I felt it for you, Emma, but I felt it for myself and for us just as intensely. Yes, so I'm complete.
Thank you, Christine.
You got a lot in. You're comfortable with this. What I just want to find where I took my notes. When the imagery that I got was when I was downloading the new blueprint, and there were all of these like linear shapes. They weren't like triangles or anything. They were just lines and different kinds of symbols, things like that. And so they were falling and tinkling and falling and tinkling, and then they turned into like mosaics, and the mosaics were falling through your body, and as they fell through your body, they began to coalesce into a full picture. And then once the full picture of this mosaic, and I didn't see what the full picture was, I just knew that it had been completed. Once that was completed, then it began to expand outside of your body. It just did this huge expansion of that, and then the light came down through and then began to come up in like that circle of energy, you know, coming down. The light just came down and it just filled you. It was so bright and expansive. So those are the images that I got. It was hard for me to hold a lot of thoughts while it's still figuring out how to go through the process. But thank you for this. Yeah.
Thank you, Emma. I missed the first part because I dropped out, but I'm gonna catch it on the recording. So
Did you
thank
hear
you.
the part about the mosaic? So can I quickly reshare it, Sharon? So I first saw like linear symbols falling and filling you. And then they became mosaic tiles, little mosaic tiles coming through. And then they began and they fell into a pattern, a picture that I didn't see, but I knew that when it was complete, then it expanded out way beyond the body, this completeness, and then filled with light, and then filled with light.
Totally understand it, and I so often have these mosaic shape.
Thank you.
Thank you.
New blueprint.
Alexandra and I attempted. It was a little distracting. So I did my best to stay focused, but it was very difficult. And I did come up with a symbol for Alexandra, and it was the only way I can say it is I've seen it on Christina, one of Christina's pictures. It's kind of like a very mini angled pyramid. And it was like a cone pyramid thing with many sides, and it was around her car and around her, and pointing up to the top to try to diffuse the distractions. Got 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, we're stepping in and throwing you in the pool. And I'm just going to let that be for, you know, so good job, Jay. Yeah. Alexandra, what have you got to share?
I'm still in my car. I tended to take an intellectual approach, and I feel like personally I'm resisting the depth that I used to have, or I feel that I need to do this work. And so I found myself playing the same game I played in college, trying to be the smartest kid in the class, you know, never worked. And so I just read over the stuff. I didn't even know, I thought I was supposed to be working on me. I didn't know I was supposed to be working on Jay. And so I didn't accomplish really very much. I'm understanding the material, and I wrote out a reality statement, but I'm assuming that the reality statement that you used at the top of page 4, kind of the universal thing that we're supposed to use with clients and ourselves, or so I don't know. I just couldn't get into the spiritual space that I needed.
Perfect.
That's all I can say.
Perfect, Alexandra, perfect. If we waited till we were, if we waited, we'd never do it. You just start where you are. And having the script to go over, to take time to to use it on yourself. You didn't make any mistake. You were authentic with where you were, and you went through it, the script, and you would not let your power of ownership, of space, of authority, of this work be eliminated, and you applied it is exactly as it was presented to you. And so this is where we start. Even Jay, Jay, that may not have been, you might have been picking up what Alexandra is very clear to us she's experiencing. And so whatever it was that you gifted her in this experience was exactly what was available and good for her. When I first started doing the work, and I had nobody to ask questions of, and my clients would go like, oh my gosh, and they have this experience and they traveled here and there, and I'm doing very, I'm doing secretarial stuff. And so I know I'm here, and I know I'm hearing, and I'm knowing activating, but they're having the experience. And I'm going like, is this right? And my team said, this is not about you. This experience is about them. So I see Christine, I'm talking about Christina. Sometimes you are there in law, you are there in right action, you are there heart-centered, you are there as a presence, trusting what it is that is moving through in the moment. And you may not have that expansive, it might be, it comes from a different connective place. When you're working, especially in TAG, I don't know about you, Christina, but when you're working in TAG with for and behalf of another person, you're working with teams who are in those spaces, who are working with the person. You don't have to travel. You don't have to get yourself moved, and you don't have to travel anywhere. You can be solidly present on the planet, in your physical body, in the authority, commanding and declaring throughout the entire 64 dimensions. And your client might be being impacted and feel all of that wonderful juju, but you're the one who is being the presence to make it possible. So don't worry if you don't, like, I didn't feel much. You don't need to. You are connected, and you are staying clear, and you are still staying anchored. And that's what's important. And then there's other times you're going to fly into dimensions and have all that wonderful experience, because that's totally available to you too. So my suggestion is this, and then I'll open it up for whatever you might want to say. My suggestion is that you tune in to, create your space, create your presence, tune in, and go through this in behalf of yourself, because we're practicing in behalf of yourself. And then you might find that a name comes to mind this week, and you say, okay, is she calling for her, is her higher self calling for the activation of the evolutionary blueprint in her behalf? You see, if that comes to you, absolutely do it. Keep track, see what's going on, so you can share next week. That this is a piece I want you to begin practicing with, because I want to then be able to offer you, whoever wants to be a facilitator for those in our communities. If they want to have, what we don't call them guinea pigs, what do we call them? Beta testers. that you're just gonna practice. You're not gonna charge for this part. You are practicing. This is a part of the tag level 1. I think it's incredibly important part because of the Lion's Gate and the moving through. And so what at the end of that, and you say this is what we did, and this we activated, the reality shift is we activated. But then if there is a reality statement that they want or you want, if you're doing it for yourself, that this is where I want to land on the other side, on where I want to land on the platform would be the reality statement. So it might be the energetic changes in my blueprint, my DNA, my chakras have landed me on a landscape of great sovereignty, where I am guided in full expression. You see? So when I say, you know, an assignment for them or for you, that would be it. What would be the reality statement? Yes, claim the blueprint. Yes, absolutely. But what is that? What is that going to look like when you land on the landscape where you are supported in your divinity? You are wired for your divinity. What does that look like? You see? So any questions before we close? Christina's saying one moment, I think. I see her finger. One moment.
It's not a question. I'm a bit on the funny mood, in a
Okay.
funny mood today. So what I really want to bring into my new landscape is a crown. It's a paper crown I made it myself. For sovereignty, for
Queen of yourself.
beauty. Yes.
Queen of yourself. Love it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Jay?
I just wanted to clarify that I was hearing you correctly. You said doing like our homeworks to do it on behalf of ourselves and we might get a name. Were you saying like the name of our self, or what
Well,
was the name piece?
More like, is there someone in your life that you can practice on? If their higher self, say hello, and you get a name, then say, and connect to their higher self. You don't have to do it consciously to their, because I don't want you to do that yet, but you can do it energetically. If their higher self is calling for this, check in and say, are you calling for this? Can I practice on it with you? Then go for it. You will be doing some with physical consciousness, but for this week, it's about practicing inwardly. What does that feel like? How's it going? But if there's someone who is their higher self is ready and wants that, we want you will just ask if that's the truth, and then feel free then to activate it on their behalf.
Got it.
Okay. Emma, and then Alexandra.
Kind of in line what was Christina said to me, can we do this on behalf of non-humans?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what I have become aware of is how crippled all of our kingdoms have become. Even our animal kingdoms are I don't know, maybe the plant kingdoms less, but our mythological kingdoms, our legend kingdoms, our stories are all based on survival and and even fight. And so this could be that evolutionary blueprint for the bodysuit, the new platform that includes the galactic and the corrections, any life form, any in the web of life. Okay. Absolutely. And keep track, because it may be that you will get some information that I don't need to get because you get it.
Okay.
Alexandra, you're on, and then we'll be closing.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much for today. It was hard for me to tune in today because I just wanted to cry.
Yeah.
Wondered if you had any suggestion for using this process for me to communicate or whatever with the khaki, because I just wasn't ready to let him go. And I'm guilting on myself because I took him to the wrong vet, who insisted on giving him a rabies vaccine because that was part of their procedure. And I really feel it was the vaccine that killed him. And I mean, I've had several people ask me to, sue this. They've had issues too, and to sue the vet and all that. I don't want to waste my energy on that. But I'm kind of mad with myself because I should have just said to the vet, if you insist on giving my 15-and-a-half-year-old cat a vaccine when I brought him here because he's sick, then I'm going to leave. And that goes back to my feeling like I don't have authority, and I feel like that my cat suffered because I didn't have my voice. But I didn't honor what was in my gut and my soul. I'm just trying to feel that guilt, and that I feel like I let Khaki down. And I know on some level, people say, well, he was ready to go, but I didn't have to help him get there, And that's just part of the process I'm going through.
No, I hear you. I hear you, Alexandra. And there are definitely some good processes that I'll be glad if you want to stay on. Anybody else who wants to stay on, but before we, after we close, I can walk you through an easy one right away. And again, this is what's been happening throughout our entire web of life, because there are those souls, consciousnesses who volunteered to let us know that constriction, evil, parasitic was here, to let us know that we've been dumbed it down. It's like he may very well be one of those who was a message to say, you lost your authority voice. And he accomplished that. You now hear it. So now you've got to take that message and you've got to work to get that authority voice back solid. That's his gift to you. There are life forms all over our planet suffering in contracts to show us that there's yuck on the planet. And that's what we're releasing, those contracts. We're just going to be proactive until we get that inner message from above. It's done. Might be a year, it might be 4, might be 2. Like to have it done tomorrow. So, yes, Christina.
Alexandra, please, maybe you consider thinking it this way. If your beautiful beloved cat does feel, just try to imagine, feels your grief, feels your sadness, feels your guilt. Now, would you want that? He is fine. He's fine. He has no blames towards you, and he feels you suffering because of him. And what I'm getting is that there is no need from his side. I'm fine. Okay, so I just.
So true.
Yeah.
We'll be holding you, Alexandra. And like I said, if you want to stay on, we'll just go through a short. Anything else? So those of you who may need to go, and I'll be here with Alexandra, and we'll meet next week. Practice.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Thank you.
Yeah, we're deep pulling it. Lots of love, everyone. Bye.
You all.